The NBA Finals are tied 1-1. Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets. No surprise, we picked them to win Game 1. I knew they would split. I thought Game 1 would be the game Miami won.
Yeah.
Game 2s are really hard to win as a road team,
especially if you don't lose. Especially if you don't win that first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was really expecting them to win Game 1. They did not. They won Game 2. Denver won Game 1. Nikola Jokic is by far and away the best player in this series. Has been the best player in the court. Last night he put on a masterclass. That was one of the first times I saw Nikola Jokic play, and I think like a casual NBA fan could understand how good he was.
Oh yeah,
it was like that type of game. Like, and he wasn't like the assists weren't tallying up like they usually were, but the way he was dominating offensively, that's usually what steps out, like pops out to a casual fan. Is like, oh, they're scoring a lot. That was a game where it was just like in bunches. He was just riling off shit, and like I think he went on like a 6-0 run by himself to end the third quarter. In the second quarter, something like that. He was cooking, man.
Yeah.
But. Game 1, Game 2, what have you seen, and are you still confident in your pick in Heat in 7?
So I love the Heat in 7. I might be moving the line up a little bit to the Heat in 6 because Game 1 was everything I thought I was going to see. The Heat shooters were just exhausted.
Yes.
Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, they were. You could tell they were exhausted physically because all the shots they took were wide open.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have any legs. So especially as the game progressed, they started missing worse and worse because they just didn't have it in them. Especially coming off of Game 7, I understand they had Lily. They flew to Denver right after the game, but the looks we thought they were going to get involving Jokic in the dribble handoffs, having Bam at the free throw line, running the action there, has persisted throughout this series because they are seeing that. Yes, he's going to drop back, but that space they create will always be there. So that's what I saw. Jimmy, I think it was 7 for 19. Shout out to Jimmy, 7 for 19 in the finals. Championship performance, nigga. Get the W. Fuck the field goal percentage. Hit the shots that matter. Bam's been playing really, really good, but it was kind of what you expected from both sides. And just flip the sides if I'm a Nuggets fan, I'm okay with how the game ended as well. Jamal Murray is a hell of a player. That's a pretty good shot, especially for the circumstances. With that defender on you got a great look. That's Jamal Murray. Yes. You live with that 10 times out of 10. But I wouldn't be too down if I was either team or too up if I was either team. It's 1-1 for a reason because these teams sorry to the niggas who thought the Nuggets were just going to sweep them and this was a boring series. They should have had Bron and KD and stuff. Like, no, this is going to be a really good series.
Luka and Kyrie, everybody's the Lakers.
Yo, just do the All-Star game one more time. But it's going to be filled with adjustments on both sides.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got to see the Heat players bounce back. And now heading back to Miami, you get a chance to see the Nuggets respond the same way.
Yeah. I will say, so this is really interesting. I love everything you hit on, I agree with. Specifically, I love the way the Heat came out and adjusted Game 2. In the fourth quarter, we'll start there. The zone was an absolute killer for them.
Yep.
And I think they built the habit of letting Nikola Jokic just score the ball and stay on the shooters, as we predicted they should do.
Yep.
That was the soft boxing one we were kind of talking about last show.
Exactly.
And when they went zone, they kind of stayed in the same thing. And it was like, once Jokic touched the ball, everybody go to the shooters. We're going to guard him one-on-one, let him do what he can do. Yeah. Now, again, Eric Spoelstra got a question from Ramona Shelburne talking about how they turned him into a scorer. And he was like, that's basically told her that's just not how that works.
Yeah.
And no, it's not.
It's not.
That's like, you're not turning him into a scorer. Like, he's just scoring the ball because that's the right play.
Yeah, you're not control. You can't control great players and what they're going to do.
Yes, exactly. Because if he wanted to overpass, he could have.
Literally.
And they probably would have hit some shots if he would have threw some passes that would have been contested threes instead of open threes. So
it's not, like he had 40.
Like, be quiet.
How do you think he felt? Like Eric Spoelstra looking at the sheet like that. She's like, I had 40. Like
40 and 14, like on like 60%. Bro.
She like, well, you made him a pass. You made him a scorer. I didn't do that. Why don't tell me I did that? Like, don't put that on me. He ain't give me 40.
Oh God. So, but I will say offensively for the Heat, I think the one adjustment they need to make, and they can't do them. Jokic played 42 minutes last night, which is shout out to him. Said he was in shape.
Up and down too, fast
up
break
and down.
layups.
Yes,
and
yes,
shit.
yes. Pushing the pace, as we said, like he was trying to control the pace, and for the most of this series, he has. The Heat kind of started to control it third through the fourth quarter,
Right.
and I'm gonna get to why in a second because it was something I've been harping on. Well, I wanted to harp on, I haven't, but. What they did with Jokic was put him in a lot of drop coverage, as we said they should, and the Heat are capable of doing that. They did that game one, they just didn't hit the shots.
Right.
Game two, they hit the shots, but one thing I think they need to adjust is put their best shooter in when Jokic is in, and that's Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson is by far and away their best shooter, and I understand he can't play too many minutes because of his defense, but he has become a better finisher around the rim.
Right.
That has been a consistent theme throughout the playoffs for him, and I would like to see him on the court with Jokic only because he is your best shooter, so if he's the one, if you're getting a lot of wide open threes, you want him taking them.
Right.
So I would switch their minutes with Caleb Martin because Caleb Martin has been proven to be able to score with anybody.
Right.
Like he was busting Giannis' ass. So it's like
he was giving Giannis crazy work.
yeah. So I would make that adjustment, and it's not like Duncan is going to match 42 minutes. Right. It's just like the 15 minutes Duncan is going to play, have 12 of those on the court with Jokic, and I think that's a good adjustment.
So this is why you're correct, but he won't have to play 42 because he's going to split it with Tyler Hero.
Exactly.
That's what I think is next. So that role he'll split with Tyler Hero, but I definitely would have. I definitely agree that, especially you saw start of the fourth quarter, how much Eric Spoelstra is really willing to lean on him. Scored, I think he scored 10 straight to start the fourth.
Yes.
Like Duncan's game has improved year over year, which is great to see for sure.
Yes.
Especially the role he's kind of in, because a lot of shooters are just like, all right, I'm just going to be a shooter. And then 2 years later, it's like, damn, Robert Covington can't hit a shot. Like, and now he can't do anything else.
And now he plays defense better than half the league. So
exactly. Now Duncan Robinson is like, man, I can't just catch and shoot because people are going to run me off the line. People are going to force me to the rim. And he's not a little guy.
No.
He's not a little guy. He's
6'5",
6'6". So he's finishing around the rim really well. But I definitely like that. And I love the idea of the Heat. Like, man, we're just going to do it every play. We're just going to put you on the fucking handoff every play, every single play.
And that's what the playoffs comes down to is like sometimes a team is better than you, but you have one thing that can beat them.
Right.
And you just got to run that shit every single time, no matter how boring it gets, no matter how, if one of your best players isn't getting the shots they should get, that you just sometimes you just got to run that play. A lot of things, something else they're doing is they're running I can't think of the actual technical basketball term for it, but they're running a pin down on the wings.
Right.
And when they're running that pin down on the wings, they're running it with two shooters, which is fucking genius.
Yeah.
And they're doing that because if you switch that, a great shooter is going to be able to come off that screen, off that switch, and hit that shot. They did it a couple times. One time, one of the 10 points Duncan Robinson had was off that curl because the time before they did it, and they switched, but they switched late, and Gabe Vincent got a wide open three off of it. The next time they tried to switch, but it was a bad switch. Like they did it really poorly, and so Duncan got a wide open layup off of it, and they're able to get the open layup off of it because the Nuggets aren't a big team. Nope. Jokic is their one big, he's their one rim protection, and Bam is at the 3-point line. He's making the pass at the top of the key. So I was listening to JJ Redick talk about it, and he said the rule in the NBA throughout the NBA is switch that every single time. So I think that's an adjustment that they'll make. That a lot of open shots they got last game, even if it wasn't a three, that will be taken away. But I don't think the dribble handoff from Jokic, there's nothing you can really do about it. You're just going to have to hope they miss.
And another thing that the Heat are doing, and it drives me crazy to see another team run the Warriors actions because I hate when the Warriors run the Warriors actions. But they're running a lot of semi-split post out the side, sometimes with Butler, sometimes with Bam. And you're seeing the Nuggets have the same problem switching, staying with cutters, staying with shooters that they did versus Golden State. You saw that a lot game 2. I think Max Strus walked into 4 threes. 2 in each corner, 1 on the wing, where it's just miscommunication. You know, the Spider-Man meme, you got him, and then the shot's up. Like, so I think, God knows, Michael Malone probably yelling at practice right now.
Right now.
Yeah, like he's screaming at them watching film. But to see if they can be disciplined with those actions while trying to be all engaged, because the Nuggets don't have anybody else to be engaged for everybody else, if that makes sense. Yeah. They don't have a backstop like AD or Draymond Draymond's the backstop, so the other 2 or 3 people on the court kind of can just do their job, and if somebody messes up, he got you. Yeah. On the Nuggets, it's like, damn, that's just kind of it. Like, there's nothing we could do. So looking forward to see that. Hopefully Jimmy Butler has it. I'm waiting for a great Jimmy game.
Yeah, I watched our prediction because I posted on TikTok a little late. My bad, been busy. But I posted it today, and I realized that I said Jimmy was going to average 33 in the series, and I was like, Jimmy, I need you to score some points. And I thought I really did think Jimmy was going to average around 29 to 33, but I think, which is the point I wanted to bring up when I brought up the pace, I think his ankle is really bothering him.
Yeah.
And I think from what I've seen early in the playoffs, I think that's why you're not seeing the aggression. Because I was watching the game yesterday, and I was like, Jimmy, you need to be more aggressive. You need to be more aggressive. You need to be more aggressive. And then middle of the third quarter for the rest of the game, he was very aggressive.
Right.
He constantly attacked, and it's not always that he's attacking to looking to score. It's that they just get really good shots when he puts pressure on the rim. He had 9 assists yesterday, and it's probably had 3 or 4 hockey assists. So that's 20, 30 points he created just off of having the ball in his hands along with the 21 points. That's my one issue with Jimmy. He took 19 shots, but I would like the shots to come more consistently. I would like you to take 6 shots per quarter. Like I want you at 25 shots just about every game because you are the best player. Now, if you can't get off 25 shots, that's one thing. Like you're not Kobe, you're not shooting over double teams every time. You're not Mike, you're not doing that. But I would like you to be at 24 to 26 shots every game just because you're the best player and like they need to be living and dying by you. And I know last night you were able to coast because Gabe Vincent was shooting lights out. Bam, I want to give a shout out to Bam. Played amazing last night.
2 straight games.
Bam, yes, 2 straight games. He has played amazing. This game they won the game, and you really saw the impact he had on Jokic defensively. Offensively, he was getting up and down the court. He was helping with controlling his pace, trying to slow the game down for Miami. Because one thing I will say, the reason the Nuggets went on that long run was because they sped the pace up, and Miami kept trying to run with them instead of realizing like they're home, they're making shots. We're making shots too. Let's just slow the pace down so it's not as drastic when we come down, miss a shot, 17 seconds on the shot clock, and they hit another 3 after just shooting away.
Especially because how the Nuggets play offense so well.
But Jimmy just needs to be more aggressive. And if he can't because of his ankle, he can't be aggressive because he's still playing 40 minutes. Because he was amazing with Jamal Murray defensively. I think that's where you were going next. But I would just want to see him be more aggressive if that ankle is allowing him to be.
Yeah, no, he's playing amazing. I 1,000% agree, especially because, like you said, the aggression, the way Jimmy will create his shots when he's aggressive is different than when he's not. With the assists, even the times where he doesn't shoot, he'll probe so deep that he's creating a second level of offense after the first play, after things already move, and then he'll move the ball, things like that. So once he is playing downhill, even if he doesn't shoot, even if he doesn't go up immediately, he can make that first pass that will start the next pass. So I definitely think, do they have 2 days in between? 2 days in between going back?
They have 2 days in between, so they play Wednesday, and then they have 1 day, so they play Wednesday and Friday.
I would expect him to come out really, really strong game 3 because, like you're saying, he is picking his spots, which is pretty good to see, and he's hitting timely shots. He hit a corner 3 that was really big in the fourth. I love to see him still taking the Jamal Murray challenge though, and you're 1,000% right. That's what I was going to highlight because Jamal Murray came off a series last 2 weeks ago. That was supposed to be the best defense in the league. He had a 50, 40, 90 on 30. Like it was nothing. I was
about to say it was nothing.
I didn't even realize it was 50, 40, 90. Because I really don't remember him missing that series, bro. But to take that challenge for sure when you know, because the thing is, Jimmy, we talked about this before the series, they both have to take that challenge knowing the other nigga really I can't help you. We both got to do this, but I got to do it on him. You got to do it on him, and we got to meet in the middle. But Bam, you usually can cover for me. You can't. You got to be on Jokic and vice versa. So I love to see both of them taking that challenge for real. Both great competitors. And for Jimmy on that ankle to have to chase Jamal Murray around, who is a practitioner of the pass and replays. He does all the little, pass, give it back, and sneakily kind of a good bag. 1 foot step back, spin joints. He's not always looking for 3, not always looking for the layup.
Exactly.
3-level score. It shows you how really hard it is to score in the NBA come playoff time. Because it's so many different things they're taking away from you already that you're like, man, we're not seeing these shots from this person. Like, we're so used to seeing the same shots each round from these players because they're so good. But sometimes you just can't get that shot off.
Yeah.
You just can't get to that move. So love to see the counter to the counters that they're having.
And that is why the mid-range is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Simple as that. Like,
Fact.
because no matter what you do, you can get to the mid post, and if you can give somebody a jab and go up into a mid range jumper, you can be able to kill all the time.
Right.
Jab, one dribble pull up, all those simple ass basketball moves that look boring, they work. Those moves that Kyrie and Steph and the point guard is doing. First off, they have to do that because everybody in the league is taller than them.
True.
Secondly, you see in the playoffs, unless Kyrie has a side or Steph has a side, a lot of their movements are quick. It's a lot of it might be a between and behind, but it's gonna be those are gonna be the only two dribbles they take, other than maybe the dribble to get in rhythm. So it's really, really important for you to have a mid-range game, because if you rely on threes or layups, they're going to be able to take that away from you. And that's like what you're saying. Like, that's why you see 3-and-D players, like some games, they'll just have 2 points or they'll have 3 points because we're closing out on that shot. We're closing out on that shot no matter what. So if you don't really got no other aspect to your game, you're gonna be on the bench, which is Duncan Robinson's problem. That was his problem.
And the NBA has changed in a way because the way they're teaching players to close out is so much different from before. Because when you were taught to close out, I mean, even when we were kids, people weren't going to shoot regardless. So if you closed out, got your hands up, they taught you chop your feet, you should be straight. Now they're teaching, no, don't do that shit. He catch the ball, if he looks up, you jump and you turn in the air to try to chase him down if he runs. And the problem with these 3-and-D players is, first, they're never super athletes. So they can chase you down and still provide pressure coming from behind. And 2 is the reason, and I'm glad you mentioned the mid-range, because I didn't even think we were going to hit this, but I'm glad you said it, was the problem niggas don't understand is when you put out the plan, okay, only threes and layups, it sounds really good. But sometimes in between when you're trying to take the 3, you're like, okay, I'll go get a layup. Sometimes you can't take the layup. So if you can't pull up and stop where you are and raise right up and shoot that, it's easy to take you out of the game, take you out of the shots, because those shots so many times where you saw Kobe, Mike, Katie, Kyrie, Steph, who shot a bunch of mid-range jumpers last year in the playoffs, is, okay, sometimes nothing's there but that.
Yes.
And if you're able to turn that shot into an easy shot, it's basically a layup because they're going to keep allowing you to. So you see a lot of players not be able to make that adjustment because they're so used to, all right, 3, all right, I'm going to go all the way to the rim.
Yeah.
And when that big slide over at the last minute, they're jumping into you or they're going to make a bad pass. Shout out PJ Tucker, who you see had this problem a lot where, if they close out too hard, the play's kind of over for him.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that it's interesting with Steph in the mid-range. Not going to stay on this too long. We're going to go on the Nuggets defensively. Right. But the Steph in the mid-range is real interesting, and real great shooters like him. Dame is one of the players. Yeah. They don't have to shoot as many mid-range jumpers as others because of the threat of their 3. They just need to show you that they will take it. Right. And that's something that I've seen progress in Steph and Dame's games both over the years, is that they both would get 3 happy, and if they were able to get to the hole, it will, because you're so worried about them, but they weren't stopping and shooting the floater or shooting a little mid-range jumper, and I've seen them progress in that. And like you said, Steph, that was a big game. Like he might only have 4 mid-range, but like 4 points from the mid-range and 6 points. But it would be in the times where he couldn't get to the 3 off the pick, so he would shoot that mid-range just so you would be worried about that. Now Literally. He can get back to the step back because he'll take that shot too. So it's really it's really surgical, mathematical. Like it is very tedious on how to score in the playoffs, and that's why, again, the 3 levels is very, very important.
And I'm glad you said how to score in the playoffs, because that'll transition us into this next one. We're talking about the Nuggets defense and Jimmy Butler and how he scores in the playoffs. A lot off these mid-range jumpers, a lot of these same shots. Last night he was 7 for 19. I'm not sure what he was game 1, but we talked after game 1 and we were like, man, is anything worried about, Michael Porter Jr. blocking that shot game 1. He's been off for 2 weeks. He's been, ready to go. Is they one of the finals? Game 2, maybe not. Maybe not 48 minutes of great defense out of non-great defenders. Exactly. And exactly what we said was, don't get old. No old game 1 overreactions. I don't know how many years they have to play 7-game series for you to realize that the first game does not decide it. I can't remember the last time I legit watched the game 1 and thought, oh yeah, this is over. When's the last time it really happened where we saw a game and was, oh yeah, they don't have any chance.
Bro, other than the obvious lump side of the series, the competitive series, a finals game, a fucking finals game.
A championship series, you're like, okay. Game 1s happen for a reason. You don't know what you're going into. A lot of players, it's their first time in these type of series. Coaches, their first time. So don't get too hung up on game 1, because exactly what we said could happen, should happen. did happen where, yeah, you got all that adrenaline game one. I'm Michael Porter. I'm usually a one-way player. I'm a two-way player today. And, habits kick in, the player you've been for the last 6-7 months kick in. And then all of a sudden, I'm back to, I'm just Michael Porter Jr. And I'm not a defensive stopper. So what have you seen from Denver to try to counteract not only how Jimmy shoots off the dribble and how he manages his offensive scoring that way, but Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, like, what are you seeing differently for them that they weren't seeing last series?
I kind of think they're in a problem that you see with great teams, great players, superstar players. Yeah. LeBron, with Steph, Kobe, it's one of those situations where the solution is for you to play better. Yeah. Like, it's not much you're really going to adjust to. I told you the adjustment on the wing pin downs. You need to switch that earlier, and harder. They need to fight over screens harder. Because Jokic is unable to play switch coverage. Like, if you're going to allow him to switch on Jimmy Butler, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson all game, there's going to be buckets. Right. So they have to play drop coverage because of his liability, and you can't go under their shooters. So you have to just fight over the screen hardest. I think last night the Heat played harder than them. Facts. And I don't think Mike Malone – I think we spoke on how there weren't too many adjustments to make in this series other than little tweaks. Very minor tweaks in quarters based on who's making what shots and things of that nature. But major tweaks over the game aren't going to be – they're going to be few and far between because the major adjustments were the way you saw them playing in game one. It was fighting over the screen hard. The Heat just missed a lot of shots. Exactly. They got open shots. They missed a lot of them. But like you said, they did play a little bit harder. The closeouts were a little bit better. Right. And
they had a bunch of blocks. They had a bunch of blocks.
The last thing I will say defensively, they have to stop overhelping. That is the one thing that's killing. Yes. They are overhelping. And I don't know why you're overhelping because first off, 2 is bigger than 3. I mean, literally. No, it's not. 3 is bigger than 2. 3 is bigger than 2. And especially in a game like yesterday where Jimmy wasn't killing. Yeah. And Gabe Vincent has 23 points. Max Strus comes out very hot, scores a quick 10 points. Facts. Stop helping off the shooters. As we just said, Gabe Vincent is decent on the floor, but you would rather have Gabe Vincent putting the ball on the floor trying to create something than you would have him taking a catch and shoot wide open 3.
That's what you're seeing so much where they're catching the ball in the corner wide open.
Yes.
And once they're in the corner, caught the ball, you have failed as a defense.
Yes.
I do see you're still running the closeout. Good job. Hey, good on you.
Yes.
But you already failed because helping one pass away it's such a great point where he's struggling. Why? Don't give them easy answers. Don't give them easy outs. And you saw that so much in game 2 with the Nuggets. And the reason you saw it is because they got away with it game 1. Like you said, they were missing those shots. So it's harder for Mike Malone to come to the huddle lock in.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Y'all up 20. Y'all won. Cool. They missing them shots. Game 2, them shots falling.
2 things on Jimmy, though, because you did ask me about that.
Yeah.
1, stop letting him go baseline. I know that's easier said than done. I always say that. But a couple of times, they just gave him baseline. Yeah. One time, he did step out of bounds, so you did your job. They just didn't call it. But you got to stop letting him get baseline. He loves to get baseline. It's been a consistent theme for him throughout the playoffs. Right. He has been creating a lot of offensive possessions, kicking it back out to the corner, kicking it to the top of the key, or making the drop-off pass to Bam. Secondly, this is where I will cut the Nuggets some bail and Michael Malone some bail. Not that they need it for me, but but I will cut them some. Exactly. Who the fuck do you think you are? but I will cut them some bail at. Who did it last year? Last year when Al Horford and Grant Williams hit all them threes to win game 1.
Shout out Derek White.
Was it Derek White? It was Derek White and Al Horford. Yep. Last year when they hit all them threes to win game 1 against the Warriors, we was like, I know y'all happy, but they're not doing that again. Yeah. Their thought process could be, we're gonna overhelp on Jimmy because him not being in rhythm is way more beneficial to us than Gabe Vincent having the game of his life. Right. Because we can you're playing the odds. Right. And we can say it's a way better chance. The odds are higher that Gabe Vincent goes back down to earth and is averaging 10 points a game versus 23 than we get letting Jimmy go off, play one-on-one on Christian Brown and Bruce Brown and KCP and Aaron Gordon letting him play 1-on-1 and him catching a rhythm in game 2 and getting off. And now instead of 7 for 19 because you didn't help off the shooters, now he's 10 for 18 and now he got 30 and now he in rhythm. So maybe that's the way they're looking at it, and that would make sense to me also.
No, that makes perfect sense because if you really play it out exactly, I thought that was going to be the next thing you said was, fuck, if he gets a rhythm, we got double him anyway. So, because they're not gonna. I totally understand what you're saying. It's kind of the same thing as we talked about the Jokic, where they're not gonna stop. They're not gonna lead behind Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent not gonna take.
Okay, yeah.
But if we're letting Jimmy do it, Jimmy can take the
yes.
Even if he stops scoring, even if he were to stop scoring, him having that rhythm is gonna bring them with them anyway. Especially how this team is built. So you're saying, hell of a player. I love Gabe Vincent. If anything, the only change I will make is, all right, let's not help off Duncan Robinson. That's what I do. All right, Duncan, cool. We won't help off you. We'll see if Gabe Vincent do it again. See if Max Strus do it again. But I 1,000% understand, like, man, we've seen Jimmy beat great teams.
Yes.
Like, Jimmy's like, you know what? I'm just going to keep scoring.
Yes, and we've been seeing him doing it all playoffs.
Yeah. So, and right now, he's not in a rhythm. So, I see Michael Malone at halftime, I'm like, look, we're not going to give him anything.
Yes.
Anything easy. They're doing a great job not fouling him, going back to Miami. I don't know if that will continue.
For sure.
They shot 2 free throws in the game 1. I don't think it'll be the same one in game 3.
No.
So, I'm ready to see game 3. It's been a great series.
It's been a phenomenal series. All you people saying that this was going to be really boring, I understand. You just don't like basketball. Okay, but offensively, the Nuggets. Yes. So we've hit all 3 phases. We've hit both phases for the Heat. We've hit defensively for the Nuggets. So now, lastly, we got to hit offensively for the Nuggets. Are you seeing anything that worries you, or you're just like, just keep doing what you're doing, like shots to fall or they won't, and that's to make them miss a league? Because I don't see like them like if they're going to play Jokic how they did last year. I mean, last night. Yeah, like you did the right thing. Like like Jokic scored 41 points. Your best player scored 41 points. The only thing you wish is Jamal Murray had 18 points. He had 18 and 10 assists. It's like he didn't play awful. He had a traditional point guard
regular
game.
Point guard night.
And it's like maybe you want him to hit 4 more shots and you want a couple more calls. KCP fouled 2 3-point shooter twice. That's awful. You can't do that. So it's like offensively for them, is there any real adjustments you see them make, or they just got to keep making it?
I wouldn't make any big changes, but I would have it on. It would be on Michael Porter. And I said it before the series, he would be one of the big people deciding, because he's one of the few people in this series that will be able to create a great shot for himself no matter what the play is. So in situations where Jamal Murray or Jokic are either not on the court or can't create a shot for defensive reasons, they send a double, things like that. Jamal Murray 6'4", things like that. Michael Porter, it has to be on him for him to create great shots for himself in the hard moments. And it shouldn't be hard for him because that's what he wanted to do for him. He did great. He's running around setting picks, he's getting rebounds, he's doing all this shit. But at the end of the day, he just want to really get a bucket. And I think they need to, it's going to sound crazy, turn him loose a little bit more in those situations when he feels like, because there's going to be a time where Jokic is going to need a break.
Yes.
He's playing these 42 minutes. This series go 5, 6, 7 games. You're going to need times where maybe Jamal Murray and Jokic can't be on the court together at the same time. They're gassed, and someone has to be the third guy, and it needs to be Michael Porter as opposed to Aaron Gordon, as opposed to KCP.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's the one. I agree. That's the one adjustment they should make, is get him more involved. Yeah. And I think, to your point, do your work early, Porter. Right. You got to do your work early so you're open when you're supposed to be. Literally. Throw the little jab, throw the extra head fake. I saw Mike Malone kind of complaining. I saw him complaining about in the press conference about players getting mad when. Hold on. So we don't always have TV on, but today everybody hates Chris is on, like just to show obviously the words are on. And they just played the episode where Tanya went eat the sausage. So that's why I keep looking over there. And the part where they showed you, like, she finally ate it, and Chris Rock was like, "I'm just playing. That's not how this."
He did. Dog, I love that show.
But yeah, Michael Porter Jr. just needs to do his work early. But Michael Malone was saying that when he wasn't getting the shots and the shots were falling, his effort started to fall. You in the finals, dog, that can't happen. You in the finals, every possession matters, bro. Every closeout matters. Every shot matters. So you can't have that lack of effort due to you not making shots. And that's why you saw at the end of the game, another thing we said, that the one lineup they'll probably close with is Bruce Brown in instead of Michael Porter Jr. or Jeff Green, and that's who you saw in replacement of him because he wasn't producing. But other than that, like, Jokic is going to be Jokic. I think this might be a case where even if they lose the series, he'll be a contender for finals MVP.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The way he's playing.
If he plays like this.
I don't think that should happen ever because you lost. But this is
Shout
the
out Jerry
NBA,
West.
and this is what we do. That's what they do. They
literally just felt bad for Jerry West.
Yeah, bro. And they tried to do LeBron that year.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was 37.
That shit is crazy.
But I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I think Jokic's a display. His passing, I know he only had 4 assists last night, but the two of them,
it's
the jump hook into the alley.
To the oop to Gordon, man. To turn him the wrong way.
He looked at him. He had him on his shoulder, and he looked, and he saw Gordon start the cut, and instead of like making a normal like just behind the back bounce pass or just turning and trying to wrap it to him, he faked the jump hook to the lob. I said, no, the
Nuggets do a great job of. Because I'm sure they see so many Jokic double teams. The minute the double goes, they go right behind it. So he knew Aaron would come, and the best way to keep the defender from falling off is, all right, he's already doubling. Let me make it look like it's a shot. Nope, he throw it at the rim. He yammed it in. Jokic is just amazing.
He's a master. He's a master.
He's been one of my favorite players to watch for so long because the bag is so deep.
It's deep, bro.
Like you really saw it last game where he was like, man, it's just going to be work. It's just going I don't care who come down there. It's nothing fancy. It wasn't a bunch of soundboard shuffles. It was 1-2 jump hook.
Put my chest into you, jump
He
hook.
threw one jump hook. It looked textbook. It hit this side of the rim, backboard in. Like, that's how you do it.
His touch around the rim is something I've seen
crazy.
Very, very few. Tim had amazing touch around the rim. Missed that layup in that championship. I cannot believe that to this day.
I remember. No. Missed the layup and the tip-in.
And then Manu missed both the free throws. Oh my God. I will never forget that. I was watching that game like, what happened?
The pain that flows through me from
that was back when I hated LeBron. I was so happy. I was like, he's not about to win. I was like, oh my God.
I was so mad. Like, we had to make these.
Bro, you had it. It was over, bro.
We'd have ruined it. They probably rigged that shit. Let's keep it.
Bro, they flipped the rim. They unbalanced the rim or something.
Oh, God, bro. They said it's a magnet in the box.
Said it was a magnet in the box. But another big that had surprisingly good touch was Shaq. And that was one you just didn't expect because Shaq was so big and monstrous. But his touch around Shaq wouldn't have been Shaq if he had Dwight Howard or Ben Wallace. His touch around.
That's a fact.
He had.
I feel bad for Shaq in retrospect because people underestimate how dominant he was skill wise.
Yes,
because he wasn't just fit. Okay, 90. Let's say 80% of his games he was physically dominant.
Like, it was just nothing you could do.
Yeah, but that 20%, or he was giving really great around the rim. Man,
he could pass as well.
Amazing.
He could run the break. It was just that wasn't the time. Like Shaq in today's NBA would be by far and away the best player. Like it's
Magic Shaq. Like Magic Shaq coming to the NBA today, bro. Like in shape, Magic Shaq running up and down the court the whole game.
Yeah, and I think this is we're kind of off the finals. Like it is what it is. You still confident on your pick?
For sure.
I'm still straight on
I
mine.
may slide it up to game 6 depending on how game 3 go.
I lied to you, bro. A real reason I didn't post a TikTok was because they lost game 1 the night that we finished the show, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna post that shit until I see. Yeah, I'm gonna set myself up.
If they lose game 2, we're gonna re-record it. We just do both. Fuck it.
But where I was